what is coming is not my judgment, Brandon. It is a shaking. It's a shaking. And he said it will wake up the people.
To get that type of judgment, is it safe to say that that type of judgment being annihilated in a single hour, being destroyed in a single hour, being publicly destroyed, that is, all the nations shall bear witness to the destruction of that nation described in Revelation 18. Can we or can we not reasonably categorize that as wrath? If that in Revelation 18 can rightfully be described as God's wrath, then that means that whoever God has identified as the recipient of that wrath is not the children. Whoever God identifies as the recipient of Revelation 18 is, in fact, one who is dwelling under God's wrath, which is
You're welcome. It is like the gathering of the cloud. When people are being warned that there is going to be a rainfall, few will heed to the warning, protect themselves, save themselves from the storm and the rain. But others will not pay attention. So then it only becomes a reality when the rain has started falling. We are hearing our sister Celestial, talking about the judgment to come. And at the point I started hearing her, it was like a lone voice. But when I started hearing other people speaking the same thing in a different dimension, it all goes on to say that God is serious about what He's warning the earth, the world about. There is going to be a rainfall, a rain of His wrath, from what He was saying from the mouth of those who are speaking. There may be a kind of disagreement on what to call that rainfall. From the two people, Celestial calling it judgment, and this other man is calling it, sorry, I'm yet to get used to his name, calling it not judgment, but a shaking. Well, whatever you say, whether you call it a shaking or wrath of God or judgment, I think we are still saying the same thing. Whether it's a shaking, whether it's a wrath of God or judgment that is coming upon the earth, I know that specifically United States is mentioned. But the truth of the matter is that whatever that will shake United States of America to that level of this, of what is spoken of, must affect the rest part of the world. You can bet me on that.
Why? You need to have a storehouse. The Lord said, this is one of the things the Lord said to me. Brandon, you need to get your boat ready. You need to get your storehouse ready. You need to have this stuff set aside and prepared for your family. Okay? And so that's what He said to me. Now, for you, I don't know. Like I said, everybody's situation is different. I heard Him say is have some cash on hand, have some food on hand, get some food, get some water on hand. He told me to have several weeks of bottled water stored up for my family. That's what He said to me. And I believe, like He said, I will take care of my beloved. He said, Brandon, I will take care of my kids. But what you can do is prepare for what you need. You know, I would say it like this. If you don't have anything and you don't have any money to go buy anything, that's fine. God's going to take care of you. But in my situation, I had some extra, and I want to say, hey, listen, I'm going to get some food for my five kids, for the five of us. I'm going to go. I have 3 kids and 2 adults in this house, and I believe, if you could have a week, 2 weeks worth of food, it's smart. And go, well, it's just going to spoil if you don't eat it. You can alternate it out and eat it as you go, and then replenish it. Canned tuna or whatever. He talked to me about having a car with good gas mileage that gets 35, 40 miles to a gallon. If you can ask your doctor for your circumstance about your medication, having enough medication, if you are on something that keeps you alive, having enough to get you through a week or 2 extra, just in case there's a shortage in that. I saw shortages of certain medications coming because of trade wars with China. Okay? So if you have to have some kind of blood pressure medicine or diabetic medicine or some kind of heart medicine or something, maybe you can talk to your doctor and say, listen, doc, I need an extra 1 to 2 weeks ahead of time. I'm not up here trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you that you should have this stuff in your mind to think we are in the end times and labor pains are coming even greater in the days ahead. Okay. And so I would just say, it's something to have precaution about, I told you about having big screws in your doors. Some people say, what about our windows? I'm just trying to slow the bad guys down. I saw people looting houses and robbing homes in major cities. When the economy crashes, when things go to pot, I saw people acting a fool. Rioting. I told you I saw signs of people standing around saying we want our entitlements because Social Security was cut off for a while. Government funding, food stamps, things like that. It was bad. And so people were rioting, and like I said, during the C word, when all those people were acting crazy for toilet paper, just think about the grocery store shelves. I told everybody that there was no food on the shelves. There was cobwebs, and it happened that fast. And they had to combine what was in one store from that store to combine it to another store. And it was a central location with armed guards. People were so you couldn't rob the grocery store. And that sounds crazy, but there was armed guards at the grocery stores. And people need to understand, when you can't feed your family, people act stupid. If you're going to come in my house and try to hurt me, yes, I'm going to have to defend my family. But, if you're asking for a cup of rice, I'll do what I can. But my family comes first. Whenever the Lord spoke to me and I saw this open-eyed, he showed me. He said, Brandon, Jesus told me, he said, Brandon, this is going to last and be a lot harder than what people realize. They are not taking it seriously. And he said, Brandon, this is going to be more of an extended time than you realize when this happens. And he said, this will not be prayed away. He said, there's going to be a shaking to awaken. He said, Brandon, there's a humbling coming. And in this humbling, this will bring a great revival. People are asking for revival, but their heads are stiff-necked. They're arrogant. They're pompous. And there is a remnant of people that God is wanting to call. And he said, what is coming is not my judgment, Brandon. It is a shaking. It's a shaking. And he said, it will wake up the people, for they are asleep. Jesus said this to me. He said, they are asleep, and I will wake up the church. I saw brush harbor churches, and I looked it up, and I know it has to do with persecution. Okay. It's a touchy subject. I don't touch it, but it's just real. This is what I saw. But they built these things in the woods so that they can worship freely and not be persecuted by the people that were bad. It was like revival in rural areas, tents, like old revival like that. It wasn't like modern day mega church, big buildings. It was like brush harbor churches. They were like, that's the only way I can describe it. Okay. But they were having revival, but they looked like old Pentecostal, churches. How the women don't wear makeup and the buns are in the hair, and very, holiness, that's the way it looked. Okay. It wasn't, that's the only way I can try to describe it. And I know I don't want to ever cross the line and offend anybody, but I'm just being real with y'all. This is what I see. This is what the Lord showed me. Then the Lord showed me tractors, major, huge combines and big mammoth tractors, completely dusty, sitting in fields, not able to go. I saw fields plowed with no crops in them at all. And I thought it was just in one area. And the Lord took me above the United States of America. And from west to east, there was no crops in any of the farmers' fields. They were completely barren. There was dust blowing in the wind, and there was dust all around because there was no crops. I don't know why this was, but there was the tractors were not moving. And then the Lord said to me, there's no water. There's no water. And he repeated it 3 times. There's drought. There's no water. And then I saw individual gardens. In everyone's house, they had a garden of some sort. Whether it was small or large to feed a community or whatever, they had little areas in their backyard or in their front yard with tomatoes, cabbage, whatever they could grow. So, but it was like, a little patch of land, not huge, a little patch, just trying to feed their families. But everyone in their front yard or their backyard had some kind of growing something. Okay. And that's what the Lord showed me was people were trying to live, trying to just keep alive, but trying to grow something. Okay.
But an important question must be asked. How prepared are you about this? You, in the nations that have been mentioned, and even those in the nations that have not been mentioned, because definitely it will go around. How prepared are we? How prepared are we? Like you heard the man saying that God told him to start buying food to store. Like God said, buy water and store, because there's not going to be water. Buy food and keep. There will be scarcity of food. And God said to him, buy drugs, because he said, no, actually said that he saw that there was scarcity of drugs because there's going to be something like a trade war. And was saying that, maybe buy enough. Talk to your doctor to give you enough that may last you up to, extra 2 weeks, or something like that. But from the description that have been given to this thing, I do not think that the food you stored for extra 2 weeks will be enough. Because if God has told him, like he said, that he should buy fuel in his vehicle, that means there'll be time to run away or relocate from where you were. And of course, he said that there'll be looting and all manner of violence all over the city. That means even relocating will be also a challenge, because people are on the street, people are being violent, and you just need God to survive. He also said that God said he was going to take care of his people. But let me come into that. If God says he's going to take care of his people, I think what he's doing now by revealing these things to him and to any other person that is listening, he's taking care of his people already. The warning that is given and the advice that is being given should be taken by all. If he's going to buy food and store food, of course, you need not to be told. You need not to be told that you also should buy food and store. Yes, simple. You also should buy food and store. Store up food, just as he has been instructed to store up food. You too should store up food for yourself. Very important. Buy water, as he said, store for yourself. If you have vehicle, of course, and which I know you do in that part of the world, also get fuel. Take every single of the advice that God has given to him. Don't wait for any extra, move of God to start taking care of you when it has started. I think taking care of his people also involves doing what he has advised him to do. Every one of us, from what I'm sensing in my heart and in my spirit, is that it's going to start in United States. But believe me, like Sister Celestia would say, it will go round. It will go round. So please, I advise you to take these advices, plan and pray. That is how to get prepared. Plan and pray. It is important. Plan and pray. God bless you until I see you again. Stay blessed in Jesus' name.
To get that type of judgment, is it safe to say that that type of judgment, being annihilated in a single hour, being destroyed in a single hour, being publicly destroyed, that is, all the nations shall bear witness to the destruction of that nation described in Revelation 18. Can we or can we not reasonably categorize that as wrath? If that in Revelation 18 can rightfully be described as God's wrath, then that means that whoever God has identified as the recipient of that wrath is not the children. Whoever God identifies as the recipient of Revelation 18 is, in fact, one who is dwelling under God's wrath, which is